really careful finishing touches. Look at that, so good, just so fast. Hello, my name is Byron, welcome to another Artis Opus video. Today we are returning to the much worried about metallics. These have been done using dry brush only, 3 or 4 steps, very simple, and we've used some fairly rudimentary colour theory, which I've only realised more that this is stuff that I brought on board as an army painter and was just common knowledge in the painting scene for army painting. And I do it without thinking. It's really helpful, and I'm going to pass on the knowledge to you today about what colours to pick to make your coppers or bronzes look more copper or bronze, your golds look more gold, and to keep your silver either kind of cool steel or dirty old rusty iron or something like that. We're going to bear these in mind, so let's get ready. Editor Ian is busy at the moment, so I'm sure this is going to be very choppy, and my handwriting is bad, but I'm going to explain to you all the wizardry behind getting these colours great. It won't take long. If you're not interested in the reasons though, and you just want to see the tutorial using the Games Workshop colours to achieve both of these, then you can skip using the timestamps in the description. Okay, so I started writing this out and realised that there's actually some more information that I need to record. But in case you weren't aware, silver will look more silver if you put it over a black base, and gold will look more gold if you put it over a brown base. If you're doing bronze, you can even lean towards like a reddy brown or something like that, and whatever you do underneath your metallic paint will show through a little bit, just like using a white undercoat if you're going to use shades or something like that, or if you're using contrast rather than a black one. Whatever you put underneath your paint will affect it. So let's have a little look at that. Right, I cover over the shade step for now. This is the important stuff, so there's not too much of it. Right, number one, if you want metallics to look shiny, you need a smooth base coat, and I mean physically smooth. So if you're using one of the excellent matte primers from Colourforge that are super popular or something like that, it might have a detrimental effect on your base coat. They're great, nothing against them, but you might want to use a satin primer like Chaos Black or something like that, and that will allow your metallics to be physically smooth rather than diffracting the light at angles because it's a matte surface, and that will make your metallics look more shiny instantly. Underneath our silver, we're going to use a black primer, and as far as base coats go, you could use a blue black or a brown black, and that will have an effect on your silver. You don't have to do this, but it's an option, and then you can actually add in blue or brown to your silver paint, and you'll lean your metallics in the way of looking like steel or looking like iron, depending on, you can add more or less depending on how subtle you want to be. Up to you. We've got some of that coming up. This is what I used in this one because I wanted it to look like old iron rather than steel. Now, I'm going to lump in copper, bronze, and gold together. Copper's more red, gold's more yellow, bronze is more in the middle. And what we're going to do is you will be using a brown base for those. That'll make the colour go down more easily. If you add more warm colours like Doomball and gold, this gold at least, Retributor Armour, just go together hand in hand absolutely perfectly. This is almost like a perfect companion, non-metallic version of this. I know this is more yellow, but this is just how it works. These two go together beautifully. You can mix them together, you can wash one with the other, that type of stuff. But if you put Doomball down under your Retributor rather than like a black, then your Retributor will look more warm and more rich. So adding your silver to your highlights, which is very, very popular with golds or coppers or anything like that, it's going to bring some of your colour out, although it will highlight it and make it brighter. So you can see that on this one, it's actually washed it out a bit. And in the recesses is where I have the richest, most red colours. What do we do though if we want to affect stuff after painting? Because shades can look really good over washes. They do have a big downside though. The big downside is that the more stages you put over your metallics, the more you're going to be dulling them. Those metallic flakes can reflect less, so unless you're using a gloss or a very transparent or thin one, it could be a detriment. It's not bad, but just got to be aware that that's happening while you're painting. For this reason, sometimes it's really good to keep it to the recesses or around rivets or something like that. We've got some very popular videos on that subject on the channel. Washes over silver. Blue is for steel, black is for iron. You got to be careful though. Black's very often going to have, it's going to be like a cool black or a warm black, normally with brown in it or with blue in it. So bear that in mind. And then brown or yellow will just make stuff look oily or aged or dirty. Really good for silver, kind of scaven silvers and stuff like that, or it'll make it look like an alloy if you're leaning it towards gold. On the subject of gold, You can mix almost anything in with it. Purple will make you look more regal. Blue will actually fully neutralize the yellow in gold or go towards it, and it can make it look more like steel. We've used this in some very cheeky ways on the channel before to paint everything the same color and then just fix it in after with washes. Green is going to add age to it, or it might be the start of adding verdigris if it's copper. Black will neutralize it, again bearing in mind our little tips down here, although over a strong yellow base on a gold it won't affect it so much. And red or yellow will just richen your color. Again though, you've got to keep that to the recesses if you want to be careful with it, otherwise it could obliterate the fact that your area actually looks metallic. Okay, I hope that was helpful. We've given you enough info. We're now going to put that into practice, this one first, then this one, and you're going to get to see it put practically to use. Any questions that you've got about the method or the brushes that I'm using or anything like that, do pop them below. And yeah, sorry for the slightly choppy editing. So with that in mind, let's get down our base coat of a mix of these two. First coat. Shake thoroughly. Shake even more thoroughly. You could brush this on. I'm going to use Series D. And they should go on really well first go. Probably need 2 coats still though. Yeah, look at that. See, it's in harmony with its base or its undercoat. Just so much easier. Easy. Don't go thick. 2 coats is fine, especially if it doesn't take long. Next step, if you don't have some of this, just take your brightest silver and add it to your brightest gold. Use it sparingly, and you can mix a little bit of your previous color in as ever to kind of increase the match between the two if you don't think you're close enough. More sparing this time, be careful. Make use of the high quality brushes. We're not rushing. You don't have to see a big difference, but you're looking to still cover quite a large percentage of the mini with this one, just not absolutely everywhere. Sticking with the same brush, haven't cleaned it 100%, going to drag a little bit of silver into the mix. Got to be really careful here. Test it on your palette first. Yeah. This will pull the color down a little bit. So I wanted to show it here. Super shiny. We've not put anything over that. No shades, no anything. The only thing you could do to make it look more shiny, literally shiny, would be a varnish. So I'm going to show you sparing final silver highlights. Give the brush a little bit of a clean first. Got to be really careful with this. This is going to dull things. So working off the brush, very, very soft touch. And the aim is to just hit upwards facing bits or spikes, ridges, all those beautiful details that have been sculpted for us. Make sure I don't miss the teeth because they're cool. And that's it. You can filter this down. You could put a sepia wash over it, or a yellow or a red. Anything you do though, it's going to deepen the recesses, but it is going to make it less metallic. So up to you whether you're cool with that. I think that looks amazing though, especially for the time. And it was pretty fun too. Okay, so time for our iron. And as we test it out, we're going to start with a black-brown base. Look how cool our base coat is, just because we put that little bit of brown and black in there. And this is just going to get shinier and shinier as it goes up. It's going to look amazing. Easy now, we just reduce the amount of the other colors that aren't silver or increase the silver. Go step by step, exactly like the last one. Make sure you test, you don't want to screw it up. You look at it from the top, because I want it to be lighter the bits the sun will be reaching. A little bit more silver than we've been using previously. Really careful. Finishing touches. Look at that. So good. Just so fast. Which is your favorite? They're both great, right? You tell me, and would you rust up this one? Because you absolutely could. Video linked here, or here, or here, or here. We've done a lot of metallics and weathering, but they just look so good for the time that we've spent, right? And it's really, really good fun. You could get an army done like this so fast. Okay, so you've seen our shiny alternates to gold. We've mentioned gold a lot, and we've mentioned Retributor armor. So let's jump in and get one of those sorted. I'm going to do two, and then I'm going to have something to be able to show you just how much of a difference using some shades. And we'll use some ones that maybe you wouldn't expect. Just because it says it's a skin shade on it doesn't mean that that's all it's useful for. And this one we've got to be very careful with, but that's going to be very potent too. It's going to do two golds, show you all the process, and then one of them we're going to kind of push the recesses down to a deeper, darker color, and I'll be able to, explain everything that we've covered in our theory. Base coat is going to be Doomball. As mentioned earlier on, these two are actually really close in terms of how they behave, metallic version and non-metallic version. So this and then this, let's go. Okay, so we have our base coat down. It's not gone perfectly, but we mixed a little bit of the Doomball and the Retributor. So you could just repeat it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to start involving the dry brushing from now with sparing pure Retributor. So I'm going to take a little bit of it. You can test it over our brown here, see how it's going to look. And we just want to build it up gently. Property on the egg, so I've got good access. You just want to build it up without, don't lay it on thick. Sounds funny. But yeah, don't lay it on thick. Build it up and have a think about which bits should be getting most of the light and stuff like that. Easiest just by looking from the top. You can always poke at it to make sure that you get all of those. When I'm taking this, I'm just taking the tiniest bit. We want a little bit at the top of all of our really fine, thin hairs sat on top of the brush. We're not aiming for it to be inside the brush. And if you've got a detail like this ripple here under the mouth, you want to be going across it, not along it. If in doubt, you can always do circles, but you can only do that when you've prepped your brush. Something you can't do with flat dry brushes or low quality ones. You just need to be able to assess on your texture palette here. Every time I do that, I'm having a look and it's going over other metallics. So this is how it should behave on the model. And then when you get to a stage when you're confident with it, buff, 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 buff. Now, it's going quite fast because each layer dries fairly quickly. What I want to do, keep on top of the moisture. We don't want it to feel dried out inside the brush, the tiniest bit of the silver. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take it to the bit of the palette that's still got the gold on it. And I can pull some of the gold up from that bit of the palette. It's all about not oversaturating the brush and approaching things sparingly. We're not in a rush. Now this is going to pull some of the color out of the model because silver is less colorful than gold. Silver is going to make it more neutral, whereas it was kind of yellowy. We want it to remain yellowy. We only want that silver for the very, very highlights. So take my time, buff it up. If you want to go more silver, that's cool, but this is just for what I've decided to do. I want it to jump to silver on the very edges, like the very, very most sticky out bits. Like it's glinting in the sun or something. I've missed a bit here in base coating. Don't know if you've noticed that. Maybe we can hide it shortly. So a bit more of the silver. Again, it's not pure silver that we're going for, but now you can see the color we've built up to. Great. So that's jumped onto the edges really, really readily. And that probably is where I should stop it with the silver. Otherwise, we will kind of change color here. I've missed out some bits. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to really carefully, it doesn't matter if you don't get them with all stages, but I'm just going to carefully push my brush into it. So I've squeezed it. It's now a thinner brush. There we go. So that's how you can get details that you don't think you can reach. As for this area that I said I missed in base coating, I'll just hide it by getting in there with a dry brush. Tricks. All the tricks being revealed. Lazy painting. Why change brush? Okay, looking pretty cool. Now, if we want to, we can add some washes. Show my cleaning of the brush because people always ask about this. My entire texture palette has become like a really gently textured washboard. So all these lumps and bumps here, they're enough to agitate the paint off the brush a little, but we've been doing a pretty good job of taking it off as we're going, and very importantly, we're doing a very good job of not putting too much on the brush. Don't need to clean much off if we don't put much on. And actually, if we were to see how the brush started, because I've been using black before this, last time I used this brush, it's ended up pretty much cleaner than it started, which is great. Right, wash time. Options, and how to use your texture palette. So we have all the colors of our model down here, especially here, this last section. This is what will happen if we put this over it. Use a slightly more ready one. Still got some of the previous one on the brush, so this is a blend. Really cool, but definitely, you know, pushing away from gold into something else, or like maybe, you know, discolored recesses for some reason. Grab the red a little bit too far. What happens if we mix them together? I think the red might be too much unless we use it very sparingly. Still playing. Might be that we want this as our main and a little bit of the flash shade. Yeah, I think that's the case. Okay. A little bit of water. Now, I only really want this for the recesses. So areas like we can see on his eyelash, whatever it is, I'm pulling this and I'm ending it where we want it the deepest in the recesses. And this should add a little extra layer of depth to things without us flooding the entire thing. Anywhere where we've gone in between details that we shouldn't have, we can fix. And anything we want to exaggerate, or like panel line, we can. Easy. It will run away from the raised areas, so it's not too hard. Very important for me to be holding this horizontal. You'll notice I'm always facing the area that I'm doing up, and that's because it won't run around if it's pretty much flat. And once it's been on there for a little bit, then it kind of chills out and starts drying and behaves itself. But I'm always getting exactly the right angle for this. Careful on top, there's a few bits that I want to exaggerate. Cool. So hopefully you can see from where we started that little extra depth that we've added, but those recesses have got less shiny. That's the price you pay. You want to separate any areas because they blended together if you were heavy-handed. It's a really good opportunity to have a fixing step like this, just for emphasis. There we go. Just realized I went a bit heavy here. I don't want that blob there. I want it shaded, not obscured. Same with this one. That one's okay, it's in a good shape. I'm gonna pull these out of it. There we go.